A group of closely related organisms capable of interbreeding to produce fertile offspring are known as members of. The correct option here is the species. Organisms that belong to the same species can interbreed and produce fertile offspring. A beaker of pond water containing few specimens of Euglena was placed in a dark room for 2 weeks. At the end of this period, the specimens of Euglena were still alive because they were. The correct option here is A. They were able to carry out holozoic nutrition. Apart from the fact that Euglena can photosynthesize, it can also take in already made food through the gullet. So it can feed autotrophically and heterotrophically, so it can feed on already made food. That's why it can survive in the dark. So the correct option here is A. It can feed on already made food, holozoic nutrition, which is a part of heterotrophic nutrition. The cytoplasm of the cell is considered a very important component because it suspends all cell organelles. All the other organelles are floating within the cytoplasm. So it suspends the other organelles. That's one of the functions of the cytoplasm. So the correct option here is B. After an hour, the level of water in the distal funnel will rise. The correct option here is A. You can see the funnel is covered with a membrane. The membrane is semi-permeable and there is sugar solution in the funnel and it is inside a beaker of distilled water. Of course, you know, water always moves to a place where you have more solutes. It moves to the region where you have more solute, from dilute solution to more concentrated solution. So water will be moving from the distilled water into the sugar solution. So that will cause the water in the funnel to rise. So the sugar solution will rise in the funnel. So A is the correct option here. The above experiment is used to demonstrate the process of osmosis. It is osmosis. Osmosis is the movement of water molecules from a region of higher water concentration to a region of lower water concentration through a semi-permeable membrane. So that is osmosis. So water moves from the distilled funnel into the sugar solution. That's from where you have more water, more free water molecules, to where you have less free water molecules through a semi-permeable membrane. So that's osmosis. The correct option is D. In plant cells, the role of the membrane is played by. The correct option here is B. Plant cells have a cell wall before the cell membrane. Okay, so the cell wall prevents the plant cell from bursting when it is filled with water. So correct option here is B. Red blood cells were found to have burst open after being placed in distilled water for an hour. This phenomenon is known as hemolysis. Hemolysis, bursting of red blood cells, is known as hemolysis. Like I said in the previous slide, water moves to where you have more solute, from where you have less solutes to where you have more solutes. From a dilute solution to a more concentrated solution. So if you put a red blood cell in distilled water, water will move from the distilled water into the red blood cell. So that will cause the red blood cell to burst, because red blood cell is an animal cell. It doesn't have a cell wall, so it will burst. So a bursting of red blood cell is called hemolysis. So number 7 is C. The curvature movement of plants in response to the stimulus of water is called hydrotropism. Hydrotropism. When you talk about water, it's hydrotropism. Okay, so remember, phototropism is about the movement of parts of a plant in response to a directional stimulus, a stimulus coming from one direction. So if the part of the plant is moving towards water, that's hydrotropism. The roots of plants are positively hydrotropic. They are positively hydrotropic. That's they move towards water. The overall reaction in glycolysis can be summarized as, the correct option here is B. Glycolysis is the first stage in respiration. Remember, respiration is the release of energy from cells from the breakdown of nutrients. The first stage of respiration is glycolysis. So when glucose moves into the cells, it is first broken down in the cytoplasm to a molecule known as pyruvate. This is called glycolysis. Glycolysis. Also, 2 ATP molecules are produced, and then NADH. The pyruvate is a 3-carbon molecule. The correct option here is B. The longest bone in the body is, the correct option here is B, is the femur. Is the femur. The longest bone is the femur, the thigh bone. Please remember to click on the subscription and notification button so you can be notified if a new video drops. Thank you.